Welcome to Repum Group's Item 24, where we take you a step beyond the standard FDD. We asked ourselves, why stop at 23 items when some of the most important insights live beyond the page? Here we're breaking down the inner workings of franchising and sharing real-life strategies and stories that drive the industry forward. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Item 24. And I have not only a special guest, but it's not virtual this time. It's actually in person because he lives right here in Charlotte. So Chris King, one of the key people, I'll say, to Monster Mini Golf and the CEO. But Chris, thank you for coming to our office here to shoot this with us. And I'm excited to go over all the exciting things with Monster Mini Golf with you today.
Oh, thanks for having me. Pleasure to come in and just chat for a little bit.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Good. Yeah. Well, I've been like wanting to ask this question in a public setting to you, which is obviously our audience will hear all about this. But when you think about Monster Mini Golf and really what the success has been, what are the key elements in your opinion that have taken the brand to be today what it is today versus when it started, and why franchise it? Why did you guys decide early on that franchising would be the vehicle to get you to where you are today as a national brand?
Well, the franchising side is easy, and that wasn't a decision that my current partners made. That was the founders. We're a legacy brand. We've been around 21 years, and years ago they built this thing, and they were the first to bring mini golf under black lights indoors. They built it in a small mill town in Danielson, Connecticut, and right after they opened, people from the big cities in Connecticut and Providence were coming in. The suit and ties were saying, we've never seen anything like this. This is going to be a gold mine. And Pat and Christina, they found it just didn't have the funds to build another one. So franchising was just the obvious choice at that point. And, why the excitement today? I joined the company 10 years ago as their COO. I have the pleasure of working with my partners owning the brand now. But Monster Mini Golf's always been a training and support company. We've never been a sales company. We've always felt like if we train and support franchisees to be viable, then we'll sell as many as we want. So when we bought the brand in 2023 and signed in January, we just really work hard to keep that foundation intact. So we're still training and support. We lean into everybody. And then what really built a lot of confidence is the fact that when we purchased the brand, the four of us, myself, Nick, Alex, and Holly, we're all multi-unit operators. I mean, Nick's been in the system for 17 years with 4 stores. So the confidence just rose at so much experience of people that walk the walk, fight the fight, in the same battle that the franchisees go through every day. We have the same failures, the same successes, and the renewed confidence is just really, it's made our culture even more powerful today. It's super exciting to see.
Yeah, that was one of the things that stood out for me. Obviously, we loved you guys in the concept. I, lived in Connecticut, was raised in Connecticut for a period of time, and I saw the brand there early on, right? 15 years ago when it started.
Danbury, Connecticut.
That's right. Yeah. And I saw billboards, and I thought it was really interesting, and so it was really like full circle for me when we got a call from our banker saying, "Hey, you should look at this brand, Monster Mini Golf, that works with you, the bank that works with you guys." But also, what was fascinating is the first time we've ever had a brand that's actually owned by franchisees. And that resonated with me because I know how important that is to franchisees, but it more so with me because that's the way Repum is too. Obviously I'm one of the founders of Repum, but I've lived all of the experiences that they did as an employee myself before we started Repum. And a lot of the positions that our sales team holds, I've been in those shoes, right? And it just puts it in a different perspective because you understand it. You've gone through the challenges with it. You've gone through the wins with it. And, you can relate to them in a different level, in my opinion.
It makes the hard times less hard because the understanding, the compassion's there. It all just makes things easier, even when things aren't easy. And, as you grow, the thing that we're scared of the most is as we grow, will we lose that culture? And, we just had our annual conference a few weeks ago, and the culture's more powerful than it's ever been. And that's really cool to see. And then where we are today, and, until we started working, with you guys and it's kind of got into this, broker world, we didn't understand that we kind of have something special here where we have legacy support, 21 years, and we have the availability of an emerging brand. And I'm learning that really doesn't exist very often. So, we're really excited about where we are today. It's a cool place to be.
Yeah, and the other thing too is obviously, when we look at franchises, it's always about how well they do performance-wise. What was also really neat is because it was a 20-year-old brand, I mean, you had 40 plus open locations, but it was still not regional, but it was a small emerging franchisor still. And you guys are like, well, now we can go on a big level. And you have franchisees, to your point. I mean, Nick's been in it for 17 years. That's super rare when you only have about 40 open. But now it's, I think what we're seeing as we talk to new candidates, they're just so surprised by that, right? And like, Wow, this brand is really unique. Where has it been under a rock for how long, and why haven't we seen this? But I think they're fascinated with it, and part of the reason is getting to the next kind of question, or what I want to go through with you is it's a family-based business, right? This is I like to compare it to what the movie business used to be a little bit, right? You come in with your family, and for a very affordable price, you can bring your two kids, you and your wife can go, and you go in and maybe get out of a movie theater for $50 or something, right?
Sure.
And today, yours is the entertainment of that. And what I saw is the value proposition you bring, that a whole family can go in, have a great experience there for an affordable price. So talk to us a little bit with the traction and why your volume is so high, because obviously these locations are absolutely crushing it from what we can see.
Well, one of the things that the founders did early on, it was about not excluding any socioeconomic demographic. So one of the things they did forever was they would leverage themselves against the movie theaters. Funny that you say that. They would say, we want to provide a better experience for a lower cost than it costs a family afford to go to the movies. And not many brands can say, I can do it the best and I can do it. I'm not going to say cheap, but I can do it the most affordable. And we really just held tight to that. When we go in, we want to provide it at the lowest possible cost. And our mini golf is the feeder. Once somebody's in the door, they can do arcade, they can do bowling, they can do laser tag. There's other money to be earned, but mini golf is that, let's get them in the door. And then I think another thing that resonates with communities is that we're inclusive. We're not somewhere where, the children go jump on a trampoline and the parents sit in a massage chair, or the children play arcade game and the parents sit at the bar. When people come to us, they all participate together. I mean, mini golf is for everyone. Everyone can do it. Even like a grandfather that is in a wheelchair, it's ADA compliant. So it's one of those things where it's just magic. We're at the right price for people that are, conscious in an economy, especially like today. And then we present something that's fun for everybody, no matter how old you are. Even our version of bowling, it's the small ball bowling. So it's not like the big bowling where the kid just sets something on a contraption and pushes it down. It's not really the experience. So I think those two things, price and inclusivity, are really where our magic is. And I'll tell a unique story. We just opened our 37th operational location about 2 weeks ago in Dunedin, Florida. Years ago, in the recession of 2009, we had a location up in Newport Richey, about an hour north of Dunedin. And we usually do a good job as far as marketing, getting people in the door. And at Dunedin, it was the same. We had 150 people lined outside the door when we opened at 11 o'clock on a Saturday. The first people in line were they were there at like 8 o'clock in the morning, a family of four. So I walked outside. They were there before any of us got there. So I came in, put my things down. I walked outside, thanked them for being there, and just got to know them a little bit. And they used to be frequent guests of our Newport Richey location. They hadn't seen Monster Mini Golf or been there in roughly 17 years. And they were the first people in line because they heard the brand was coming back, and they just made it a point to be there and be first. And, that's really heartwarming. That shows you that, what we did in that community, even all those years ago, still resonates. Yeah. So it just makes us feel like we're on the right track.
The longevity, of a brand. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. So another question I have for you is, you've all this success you had. We talked a little bit about where you are, where you've been, and why it's stood the test of time for 20 years. Where do you see Monster Mini Golf going in the next 3 to 5 years? What's the vision for it now that we've gotten to this point? Your point, you're going to get to 50 locations open here in a short period of time.
Absolutely. You know what? You said something a minute ago that resonated. For years and years and years, we always told ourselves internally, we are the coolest thing in entertainment that no one knows about, except for the people that were in this family. So we feel like after 21 years, we're just getting started. My partners and I bought the company in 2023. We decided for 2 years not to scale. We didn't market at all. We built the infrastructure because one thing that's unique about us, is we're the biggest vendor in our own construction project. We build our golf courses. We design those. There's heavy lifting in that. So until you open 12 to 15 a year, you can't go sell 20 to 25 a year. And previous to us owning it, we really have only ever opened 4 or 5 a year. The founders wanted to grow organic, and that was their speed. And that's what we did. So we built the infrastructure. We partnered with you guys as, sales professionals, are real partners with us there. And we've got our infrastructure right. I mean, the goal right now is a march towards 100. We feel that when you have 100 locations, there's a lot of eyeballs. We feel like we increase the equity of all of our franchise business owners, because it's about their equity that increases our equity, if you're really looking at franchising. And once you get there, you're on the map. Marketing dollars should cost less. It's cool to say today we're already the global leader in mini golf simply because we have more locations under our brand than anyone else does. But yeah, we're just on that march to 100. And as we get there, things should get easier and we should get more visible as we go.
Yeah, and we're seeing it too with that. Every time we open it, you've been opening ones recently. I mean, they're just doing incredibly well out of the gate. From a regional to a national brand is starting to transition. And to your point, 100 will get you there in a big way. So
yeah, and you know what's really cool is we're working the same in all markets we go in. You know, whether it be, one of our biggest stores right now is our smallest market we have in Hammond, Louisiana, outside of New Orleans. And it's doing just as good as, Seattle, Washington, which rains every day of the year and has great density and great income levels. So it's really rewarding to see that we can work in places that we may not even thought we could.
Yeah, that's good. All right. So on a personal note, a couple of things that I'd love to learn about you. The audience probably would like to know. So you've been in it a long time. Obviously, you're a franchisee now, a franchisor. What's the biggest lesson you've learned? Like if you had one thing you'd point at that has made you successful, or just something you'd say, I wouldn't do this again, or I would do this again, what would it be?
Well, I learned a long time ago. So before Monster, I've been in franchising about 26 years, and I had some phenomenal leaders, that really were mentors to me. And I've just always leaned into goodwill is how you should lead. If you lead with goodwill, if you lead with real compassion, with real care, the hard times aren't as hard. The good times are really good. So, the thing I would tell anybody is just goodwill and relationships. That's what franchising is. It can, the money can make you lose that at times. So we try really hard not to, but I would say that's really the special sauce for me as a professional in this industry. It's just always leading with goodwill and valuing relationships.
Yeah, I think that's really important as a leader in general, because to your point, everyone can be good in good times, but when the bad times hit, it's like how the true leadership comes out, right?
Because you're responsible for helping at that point. People lean into you as the leader. So those relationships being solid make those easier. Yeah,
100%. Okay, so last question is, if there's any markets out there, we'll say the top 3, that you think there should be a Monster Mini Golf today that isn't, what would you say are those markets?
It should be everywhere, first and foremost.
Yeah, we know that.
No, but the only store we lost in COVID was about a 20-year-old store out in California. We have no representation in California. We had a store in Sacramento, and it's the only store we lost. It was just state regulations and a landlord that wouldn't play ball. So getting back into California would be fantastic. There's just so much opportunity there. I would say the next one is the Chicago suburbs. Chicago's just right there, and that's 5 or 6 scattered throughout there. And then I like Minneapolis, Minnesota, the inclement weather, the income levels, the density, that all just works for us. So those 3 would be wish list. For years, Seattle was a wish list, and that one came true. Those would be my 3.
That makes sense. I mean, there's so much opportunity in California with such big cities, and I think that's a great market for all franchising, and then Chicago and Minnesota too. But I have friends in Chicago and Minnesota, and it snows 9 months out of the year, so that's a good reason, right?
Well, Chicago is hot and it's brutally cold. You get it all year round. Other than fall, you want to get inside.
Yeah, that's right. Well, thanks, Chris. I appreciate you coming on. This was really helpful. I'm excited to get this out there so everyone can see what Monster Mini Golf's all about, and we continue and love the partnership, and obviously we've had success already, and can't wait for that to continue. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much. Likewise. I mean, this has been a great relationship, and I look forward to where it goes from here.